Maybe this will teach you some respect. Gate agent Derek Walsh's words slice through Terminal 3 as he holds a navy blue passport above his silver lighter. The flame dances inches from federal property while Maya Rodriguez stands perfectly still, watching her documents about to burn. "Sir, are you really going to destroy her passport?" a passenger asks, phone already recording. Derek's eyes gleam with authority. Fake documents get burned. That's policy. The lighter clicks to life, orange flames reflecting off his airline badge as hundreds of witnesses watch in stunned silence. Maya's dark eyes focus not on the fire consuming her passport, but on the security camera's red blinking light above Derek's head. Phone screens illuminate around them as the collective gasp echoes through the gate area. The passport pages curl and blacken, federal property turning to ash. Derek drops the burning remains into a metal trash can with satisfaction. Hidden in Maya's briefcase, a gold federal badge catches the fluorescent light. The fluorescent lights of O'Hare International Airport buzz overhead as Maya Rodriguez adjusts her simple black blazer and approaches the American Airlines check-in counter. Her leather briefcase remains zipped tight, concealing documents that could shut down entire airline operations with a single signature. "Good morning, Flight 447 to Washington, D.C., Maya says, sliding her passport across the polished counter. The document bears multiple international stamps evidence of her extensive travel for federal aviation inspections. Derek Walsh barely glances up from his computer screen. At 38, he's worked this gate for 6 years, developing what he calls an eye for trouble. His supervisor's commendation letters hang proudly behind him, but hidden beneath his professional demeanor lies a pattern of bias that's gone unchecked for months. Purpose of travel? Derek's fingers hover over his keyboard, his tone already shifting to something cooler. "Business meeting," Maya replies evenly. She doesn't mention that tomorrow's meeting involves presenting her preliminary findings on discrimination patterns in major U.S. airports findings that could trigger federal investigations. Derek examines her passport with unusual scrutiny, holding it up to the light and running his fingers along the edges. Behind Maya, a line of passengers grows restless. Businessman Marcus Thompson checks his watch impatiently, while college student Aisha Williams live streams her travel day to her followers. "This doesn't look right," Derek announces loudly, his voice carrying to nearby passengers. He taps the passport against the counter. "The font seems off." The seal looks suspicious. Maya's eyebrows raise slightly. Her passport is pristine issued just 6 months ago when she received her promotion to Chief Inspector. "I assure you the document is authentic." "Ma'am, I've seen hundreds of fake passports. This one's clearly counterfeit." Derek's voice grows more aggressive, drawing attention from security officers stationed nearby. "I'm going to have to confiscate this." Aisha Williams stops her live stream to watch the confrontation unfold. Marcus Thompson puts down his phone, his business instincts recognizing an escalating situation. Other passengers begin forming a semicircle around the counter, their conversations dying to murmurs. "Sir, I need to catch this flight," Maya says calmly, though her fingers tighten around her briefcase handle. Inside, her federal credentials could end this confrontation immediately, but revealing her identity would compromise tomorrow's undercover assessment of this very airport. "Perhaps you could call a supervisor." Derek's laugh is sharp and dismissive. "Lady, I don't need a supervisor to spot obvious fraud. You can try this scam somewhere else." He holds her passport higher, making a show of examining it for the growing audience. "Probably bought this online for $50. The accusation hangs in the air like smoke. Maya feels dozens of eyes on her, phones discreetly recording, social media posts being crafted in real time. This is exactly the kind of public humiliation she's documented in airports across the country. Passengers targeted based on assumptions and bias rather than actual security concerns. Security Officer James Mitchell approaches, his radio crackling with chatter. Derek waves him over with obvious satisfaction. Got a situation here, James. Fake passport. Clear as day. Maya maintains her composure, but inside she's already calculating. This isn't just about her missed flight anymore. Derek's behavior represents a systemic problem she's been investigating for months. His confident demeanor, his public accusations, his complete dismissal of her protests, it all fits the pattern of discriminatory practices she's documented at 12 other major airports. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside," Officer Mitchell says, his tone professional but firm. "We'll need to verify your identity through other means." "That won't be necessary," Derek interrupts, pulling a silver lighter from his pocket. "Fake documents get destroyed. That's protocol." Maya's breath catches. Destruction of federal property. Even if Derek believes its counterfeit crosses a legal line that will trigger automatic federal investigation. The irony isn't lost on her. In trying to assert his authority, Derek is about to commit the exact crime that will expose his months of discriminatory behavior. "Sir, perhaps we should verify," Officer Mitchell begins. But Derek is already flicking the lighter to life. The flame springs up between them, small but significant, casting dancing shadows across Derek's determined face. The lighter's click echoes through the terminal like a gunshot. Derek holds Maya's passport above the flame, his face illuminated by the orange glow as passengers around them freeze in collective disbelief. "No, don't!" Officer Mitchell reaches forward, but Derek has already lowered the document into the fire. The passport's edge catches immediately, navy blue cover curling and blackening as the flame spreads across the federal seal. Maya watches in calculated silence as months of meticulous planning suddenly pivot. This isn't just discrimination anymore, it's destruction of government property, recorded by dozens of phones and broadcast live on social media. "Holy shit, are you seeing this?" Aisha whispers into her phone, her livestream viewer count jumping from 50 to 500 in seconds. "This gate agent is literally burning someone's passport." The smell of burning paper and adhesive fills the air. Derek drops the flaming document into a metal trash can with obvious satisfaction, wiping his hands on his uniform as if cleaning off something distasteful. "That's what happens to fraudulent documents," he announces to the growing crowd. "Zero tolerance for scams at my gate." Maya steps forward, her voice deadly calm. "You just destroyed federal property?" Derek laughs, a harsh sound that makes several passengers flinch. "Lady, fake documents aren't federal property. Nice try, though." He turns to Officer Mitchell. "She's probably going to claim discrimination next. They always do. The collective intake of breath is audible." Marcus Thompson shakes his head in disgust while pulling out his business card. He's already planning to file a complaint with the airline's executive office. An elderly woman near the gate grabs her husband's arm, whispering urgently about the poor girl being treated so badly. "This is insane," Marcus mutters loud enough for others to hear. "I've never seen anything like this." Aisha's phone buzzes with comments flooding her live stream. "This is disgusting. Someone needs to stop this. That poor woman." Her viewer count hits 800 and climbing. Maya reaches into her briefcase, her fingers finding the smooth leather of her federal credential case. One flash of her badge would end this humiliation immediately, but it would also compromise months of investigation into discriminatory practices at major airports. She makes a calculated decision. "I'd like to speak with your supervisor," she says instead. Derek's smirk widens. "My supervisor will tell you the same thing. We don't tolerate fraud here." He leans forward conspiratorially, his voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Between you and me, you might want to invest in a better fake next time. This one was obviously amateur." The insult lands like a physical blow. Several passengers step closer, their protective instincts activated by the blatant unfairness. Maya feels their solidarity, but also their powerlessness. They're witnessing injustice but don't know how to stop it. Officer Mitchell's radio crackles to life. "Control. We have a situation at Gate B-15. Possible document destruction. requesting supervisor assistance. Possible? Derek scoffs. James, I just saved this airport from a fraud attempt. You should be thanking me. The ashes in the trash can continue to smolder, tiny sparks occasionally flaring up like Maya's carefully controlled anger. She thinks of the dozens of similar stories in her files, passengers humiliated, flights missed, dignity stripped away by employees who mistake authority for permission to discriminate. Ma'am, I'm sorry this happened, Officer Mitchell says quietly, genuine sympathy in his voice. We'll get this sorted out with the supervisor. Don't apologize to her, Derek snaps. She brought this on herself with that pathetic fake passport. He straightens his tie and turns to address the watching passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly why we have strict security protocols. Thank you for your patience. Several passengers exchange disgusted looks. A teenager near the back raises her phone higher, making sure she captures everything. The woman beside her mutters something about calling the news stations. Maya's phone buzzes with an incoming call. The caller ID shows FAA Director, her boss wondering why she hasn't checked in from O'Hare. She declines the call, knowing that revealing her identity now would protect her personally, but leave Derek's systematic behavior unchecked for future victims. The burned passport continues to smoke in the trash can, federal property reduced to ash, while security cameras record everything. Derek adjusts his airline badge proudly, completely unaware that he's just committed a federal crime on camera. Maya's fingers trace the outline of her federal badge through the leather of her briefcase. The power to end this humiliation rests literally in her hands. Maya excuses herself to the restroom, her heels clicking against the polished terminal floor as whispers follow in her wake. Inside the sterile bathroom, she pulls out her phone and dials a number she knows by heart. Director Harrison's office. It's Maya. I need to report a federal crime in progress at O'Hare, but I'm requesting no immediate intervention. The pause on the other end speaks volumes. Maya, explain. She outlines Derek's actions quickly, professionally, while her reflection in the mirror shows none of the fury burning inside her chest. Sir, this is exactly the systematic discrimination we've been investigating. If we move now, we'll catch one employee. If we investigate properly, we might expose an entire network. Rodriguez, he destroyed your federal passport. This isn't just discrimination anymore. Which is why we need to document everything. Give me 24 hours to gather evidence, full undercover assessment. Maya adjusts her blazer, transforming from victim back into federal inspector. I want to see how deep this goes. When she returns to the gate area, Derek is holding court with two other airline employees, regaling them with his heroic fraud prevention. His voice carries clearly across the seating area. You should have seen her face when I lit that thing up, Derek chuckles. These scammers think they can intimidate us with tears and sob stories. Customer service supervisor Linda Chen approaches the gate, her expression professionally concerned. Maya recognizes the tight middle management, caught between corporate policies and employee protection, likely to side with her staff unless presented with overwhelming evidence. Mr. Walsh, I understand there was an incident? Derek's confidence never wavers. Textbook fraud attempt, Linda. I handled it by the book. He gestures toward Maya. Document destruction, just like we're trained. Zero tolerance. Maya steps forward, her voice steady. I'd like to file a formal complaint. That passport was authentic, and your employee destroyed federal property. Linda's smile is practiced, sympathetic, but ultimately dismissive. Ma'am, I understand your frustration, but our gate agents are highly trained in document verification. If Derek determined your passport was fraudulent, I trust his professional judgment. Even though he provided no verification process, no authentication equipment, no second opinion? Our employees don't need equipment to spot obvious fakes, Linda replies, her tone growing cooler. Perhaps you'd like to contact the passport office about obtaining legitimate documentation. The insult hangs in the air like smoke. Maya realizes she's witnessing the exact institutional protection of discriminatory behavior she's been investigating nationwide. Linda isn't evil. She's simply part of a system that automatically supports employees over passengers, especially when those passengers fit certain profiles. "I'd like your corporate complaint number," Maya says. "Of course." Linda hands her a generic business card. Though I should mention, fraudulent document claims rarely result in passenger favor. Derek has an exemplary record. Maya pockets the card, already planning how it will fit into her federal case file. Around them, passengers continue to stare and whisper. Aisha approaches hesitantly, her phone now tucked away. "Excuse me?" Aisha says softly. "I recorded what happened. If you need witnesses." "That's very kind of you," Maya replies, genuinely touched by the young woman's courage. "What's your name?" "Aisha Williams. I'm a journalism student at Northwestern." She glances nervously at Derek, who's watching their conversation with obvious irritation. "What he did was wrong." Everyone knows it. Marcus Thompson overhears and approaches, his business card already in hand. "Marcus Thompson, Thompson Industries. I've been flying for 20 years and I've never seen anything like this." He looks directly at Derek. This is exactly the kind of behavior that gives airlines a bad reputation. Derek's jaw tightens. "Sir, I don't need travel advice from passengers. I stopped a fraud attempt. Period." "You destroyed someone's property based on a hunch," Marcus fires back. "In my business, that's called poor judgment." The confrontation draws more attention. Officer Mitchell returns with Airport Police Lieutenant Sarah Kim, whose expression suggests she's already been briefed on the situation. Maya recognizes another decision point. She could reveal her identity now and end this, or continue gathering evidence of systematic failures. "Ma'am, I understand there was an incident with your travel documents," Lieutenant Kim says professionally. "We'll need to file a report." "I'd like to press charges for destruction of federal property," Maya states clearly. Derek laughs outright. "Lady, you can't press charges for destroying fake documents. That's not how the law works." Lieutenant Kim's expression tightens slightly. "Sir, that determination will be made through proper investigation, not assumptions." She turns back to Maya. "You'll need to provide proof of the document's authenticity." "The document was issued by the U.S. State Department 6 months ago," Maya replies. "Serial number K7394851, issued to Maya Rodriguez. All of this is verifiable through federal databases." For the first time, Derek's confidence wavers slightly. "Anyone can memorize numbers," he mutters, but his voice lacks its earlier certainty. Lieutenant Kim takes detailed notes while Aisha and Marcus provide witness statements. Other passengers approach voluntarily, their sense of justice outweighing their desire to avoid involvement. Maya watches this natural coalition forming and realizes she's witnessing something powerful ordinary people refusing to tolerate obvious injustice. "This is going viral," Aisha whispers, showing Maya her phone. "My live stream has been shared thousands of times already. #passport burning is trending." Maya's phone buzzes with another call from her director. She lets it go to voicemail, knowing her 24-hour window for investigation is already shrinking. Social media moves faster than federal bureaucracy. Derek conferences with Linda and another supervisor, their body language increasingly defensive as they realize the situation is spiraling beyond their control. Maya catches fragments of their conversation. Corporate legal, damage control, media response. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Kim says, returning with her completed report. "We'll need you to come to the station to file formal charges." Given the nature of the allegation, this will likely trigger a federal investigation. Maya nods, already knowing that her colleagues will be reviewing security footage within hours. But she also knows that Derek's behavior represents something larger than one bad employee. It's a symptom of institutional culture that protects bias and punishes those who challenge it. As they prepare to leave for the police station, Derek makes one final mistake. He approaches Maya directly, his voice low but carrying in the terminal's acoustics. "You know what? Even if that passport was real, people like you need to understand that respect goes both ways. Maybe this will teach you some humility." The words land like a physical blow, but also like evidence. Maya's trained ear catches the implicit bias, the assumption of superiority, the suggestion that she somehow deserved this treatment. Around them, passengers react with visible disgust to Derek's parting shot. Lieutenant Kim's eyes narrow. "Sir, I'd recommend you stop talking immediately." Maya looks back at Derek one final time, memorizing every detail of his confident smirk. He has no idea that he's just sealed his fate with that final comment, providing clear evidence of discriminatory intent that will anchor federal charges. 6:47 p.m. Chicago Police Station. Lieutenant Kim's office smells of stale coffee and bureaucracy as Maya provides her detailed statement. Through the window, O'Hare's lights twinkle in the distance, the scene of a crime that's about to reshape airline industry practices nationwide. "Miss Rodriguez, I have to ask, are you certain about pressing federal charges? Destroying passport property typically results in significant penalties." Maya's response is measured. "I'm certain. This behavior represents a pattern that needs to be addressed systematically. What Lieutenant Kim doesn't know is that Maya has already texted her deputy director a coded message. Package delivered. Request 24-hour operational delay. Full assessment in progress. 8:15 p.m. Maya's hotel room. Maya spreads her case files across the hotel bed documentation from 12 airports showing suspicious patterns of document challenges that disproportionately target specific passenger demographics. Her laptop displays internal airline communications obtained through federal subpoenas, revealing employee training gaps and supervisory blind spots that enable discriminatory behavior. Her phone rings. Director Harrison's voice is tight with concern. "Maya, the passport burning video has gone viral. We're getting calls from congressional offices. I need you back in D.C. immediately." "Sir, this is bigger than one incident. Derek Walsh has been employed at O'Hare for 6 years. I need to review his entire history before this becomes public and evidence disappears. You have until tomorrow at noon. Then we go public with the investigation." Maya's fingers fly across her laptop keyboard, accessing federal aviation databases that reveal Derek's employment history. What she discovers makes her stomach turn. 17 formal complaints in the past 2 years, all dismissed by airline management as procedural disagreements or passenger misunderstandings. 10:30 p.m. Secure phone call. Maya dials a number that connects her to Special Agent Jennifer Walsh, no relation to Derek, at the FBI's Civil Rights Division. "Rodriguez? I saw the video. That was you? Jenny, I need a favor. Deep background check on Derek Walsh, American Airlines employee ID 7743. Cross-reference with passenger complaint databases from the DOT. This is about more than your passport, isn't it? This is about systematic discrimination that we can finally prove." 11:45 p.m. Digital deep dive. Maya's hotel room transforms into a command center. Her laptop displays multiple screens. Security footage from O'Hare obtained through federal warrant, Derek's employee evaluations showing consistent passenger relations excellence ratings despite numerous complaints, and social media posts where Derek's friends congratulate him on handling difficult passengers. She discovers Derek's Facebook posts from the past year, each one more damning than the last. "Another day, another scammer trying to get through my gate. Thankfully, I've got experience spotting the obvious ones. Some people think crying and playing victim will get them special treatment. Not at my gate. Love my job. Protecting American travelers from fraud attempts every single day. Maya screenshots everything. building a federal case file that will demonstrate clear intent and pattern of discriminatory behavior. 12:30 a.m. The smoking gun. Maya's phone buzzes with a text from Agent Walsh. Check your secure email. You're going to want to see this. The attached file contains Derek's internal airline communications over the past 6 months. Maya's hands shake as she reads emails to supervisors describing passengers in coded language that barely conceals racial bias. Had to handle another suspicious documentation situation today. These people never learn that fake papers won't work here. Linda, can you back me up on the Johnson incident last month? Passenger is claiming discrimination, but we both know she was trying to scam the system. Thanks for the support on the passport challenge yesterday. Sometimes you have to make examples to keep the honest passengers safe. But the real smoking gun comes in an email Derek sent to a colleague just 3 hours before burning Maya's passport. Getting tired of these. Entitled Passengers Thinking They Can Intimidate Us. Time to start sending a message that fraud won't be tolerated at my gate. Maya stares at the screen, realizing that Derek's attack on her wasn't spontaneous. It was premeditated. He had decided before their interaction began that he would destroy any document he deemed suspicious, regardless of its authenticity. 1:45 a.m., the network revealed. Further investigation reveals that Derek isn't acting alone. Maya discovers a private social media group called Real Security Professionals, where Derek and 43 other airline employees from 7 different carriers share stories about problem passengers and coordinate responses to complaints. The group's posts read like a handbook for institutionalized discrimination. Remember, it's not profiling if you can point to procedural violations. Document quality challenges are our best defense against certain types of travelers. Management always backs up security decisions if you phrase them correctly in reports. Maya realizes she's uncovered not just individual bias, but a coordinated network of airline employees who've developed systematic methods for discriminating against passengers while maintaining legal cover. 2:20 a.m. Federal coordination. Maya conferences with Director Harrison and FBI Agent Walsh, their voices tight with the implications of her discoveries. Maya, this is no longer about one burned passport. We're looking at a conspiracy involving multiple airlines and dozens of employees. Sir, I recommend we coordinate with DOT, FBI Civil Rights Division, and the Attorney General's office. This requires federal prosecution under civil rights statutes. Agreed. But Maya, tomorrow, you reveal everything. Derek Walsh and his network have no idea what's coming. 3 a.m. Final preparation. Maya prints federal arrest warrants obtained through emergency judicial approval. Derek Walsh will be charged with destruction of federal property, civil rights violations, and conspiracy to deny equal access to transportation services. But more importantly, the investigation has revealed actionable evidence against 43 other airline employees across 7 carriers. Maya's burned passport has become the key that unlocks a nationwide discrimination network that's operated with impunity for years. She reviews her federal credentials one more time, thinking about the moment tomorrow when Derek will realize exactly who he destroyed federal property in front of. The irony is perfect. In trying to humiliate her publicly, he committed the exact crime needed to trigger federal investigation of his entire network. Maya's phone displays dozens of missed calls from news organizations. The passport-burning video has reached 3 million views, with hashtag Justice for Maya trending worldwide. Public outrage is building pressure that will ensure meaningful consequences, rather than corporate damage control. 4:30 a.m. The plan. Maya texts Lieutenant Kim. Ready to return to airport at 8 a.m. for follow-up questioning. Please ensure Derek Walsh is present. She doesn't mention that Derek will be meeting not with an angry passenger, but with the Chief Inspector of the Federal Aviation Administration, backed by FBI agents and armed with evidence of a multi-state conspiracy. Derek Walsh is about to discover that some passengers carry more authority than others, and that destroying federal property carries consequences he never imagined. Maya returns to the scene of yesterday's crime, wearing the same black blazer, but now her federal credentials rest in her jacket's inner pocket, instead of hidden in her briefcase. Derek Walsh stands behind the same gate counter, his confidence intact as he processes morning passengers with the same dismissive efficiency that marked yesterday's encounter. Lieutenant Kim meets Maya at security screening, her expression professional but curious. "Miss Rodriguez, we've arranged for a follow-up interview with Mr. Walsh. He's agreed to answer additional questions." Maya nods, knowing that Derek's cooperation stems from his complete confidence in his actions. He genuinely believes he performed his job correctly by destroying fraudulent documentation, supported by supervisors who've enabled his behavior for years. They approach Gate B-15, where Derek holds court with the same airline employees from yesterday, his voice carrying across the seating area as he recounts his heroic fraud prevention. "The fake was so obvious," Derek laughs, gesturing expansively. "These scammers must think we're idiots. Thank God I caught it before she got on the plane." Supervisor Linda Chen stands nearby, nodding approvingly at Derek's narrative. Her presence represents the institutional support system that's protected discriminatory behavior by reframing it as security vigilance. "Mr. Walsh," Lieutenant Kim interrupts, "we need to ask some follow-up questions about yesterday's incident." Derek's smile is confident as he approaches. "Of course. Happy to help. Though I think we covered everything yesterday. Clear case of document fraud, properly handled according to airline policy." Maya steps forward, her federal credentials case now visible in her hand. "Actually, Mr. Walsh, we have some new information that might change your perspective." "Look, lady," Derek begins, but Lieutenant Kim cuts him off. "Sir, please listen to the questions before responding." Maya opens her credentials case with deliberate precision, the gold federal badge catching the terminal's fluorescent light exactly as it did yesterday when hidden in her briefcase. But now, instead of concealment, the badge represents revelation. Derek's eyes focus on the identification, his confident expression slowly shifting to confusion as he reads the text. "Maya Rodriguez, Chief Inspector, Federal Aviation Administration." The color drains from Derek's face like water from a broken dam. "Mr. Walsh," Maya says, her voice carrying the full authority of federal law enforcement. "You destroyed a passport belonging to a federal aviation inspector. That passport was not fraudulent. It was authentic federal property, and your destruction of it constitutes a federal crime." Derek's mouth opens and closes soundlessly. Behind him, Linda Chen takes a step backward, her corporate survival instincts recognizing that this situation has moved far beyond employee protection protocols. That can't be..." Derek stammers. "You never said... You didn't identify yourself. Federal inspectors conducting undercover assessments don't typically announce their presence," Maya replies calmly. "Your treatment of me yesterday wasn't about document authentication. It was about systematic discrimination that we've been investigating for months." Lieutenant Kim produces a folder thick with documentation. "Mr. Walsh, we've obtained records of your employment history, including 17 formal complaints filed against you in the past 2 years. We've also reviewed your internal communications and social media posts." Maya watches Derek's face as the implications hit him. Yesterday's confident authority figure transforms into a cornered employee facing federal prosecution. The power dynamic hasn't just shifted, it's completely reversed. "Sir," Maya continues, "your email sent 3 hours before our encounter yesterday specifically stated your intention to send a message about fraud tolerance. That demonstrates premeditated intent to destroy any document you deemed suspicious, regardless of its authenticity." Derek looks desperately to Sandra Martinez for support, but his supervisor has already begun distancing herself. The institutional protection that enabled his behavior evaporates when faced with federal charges and viral video evidence. We've also discovered your participation in a private social media group coordinating discriminatory practices among airline employees across 7 carriers, Lieutenant Kim adds. This investigation now involves 43 airline employees and multiple federal charges. The terminal around them has grown quiet as mourning passengers recognize the unfolding drama. Phone cameras appear discreetly, capturing Derek's public accountability moment as yesterday's victim reveals herself as today's federal prosecutor. Derek's airline badge, which he wore so proudly yesterday while destroying federal property, now seems to weigh heavily on his chest as he realizes his career in aviation is ending in real time. Maya's expression remains professionally neutral, but inside, she feels the satisfaction of justice finally catching up to systematic discrimination. Derek's confident destruction of her passport has provided the federal government with unshakable evidence of both individual bias and institutional failure. Derek's legs seem unsteady as the full weight of Maya's revelation settles over him. The gate area fills with an electric tension as mourning passengers sense something extraordinary unfolding. Maya holds her federal badge high enough for the growing crowd to see and for the security cameras to record, the complete reversal of yesterday's power dynamic. "Chief Inspector Rodriguez," Derek whispers, the title foreign and terrifying in his mouth. I was just doing my job. Protecting passengers from fraud." Maya's response cuts through his stammering like federal authority through corporate protection. "Mr. Walsh, your job involved destroying authentic federal property based on racial bias, not security protocols. That's not law enforcement. It's a federal crime." Lieutenant Kim signals to airport security officers positioned around the terminal. This isn't just a passenger complaint anymore. It's a federal arrest in progress, broadcast live to millions through social media streams and news coverage. "Ma'am, you have to understand," Derek pleads, his voice rising in panic. "That passport looked fake. You've been trained to spot fraudulent documents using authentication equipment and verification procedures," Maya interrupts, her voice carrying across the terminal. "Instead, you used a lighter and your personal bias. Those aren't the same thing." The crowd's collective gasp is audible as FBI agent Jennifer Walsh approaches with 2 federal marshals. Derek recognizes the federal badges immediately, his face transitioning from confusion to genuine terror as handcuffs appear. "Derek Walsh," Agent Walsh announces formally, "you're under arrest for destruction of federal property, violation of civil rights, and conspiracy to deny equal access to transportation services." Derek's knees buckle slightly. "Conspiracy? I don't understand. I just burned 1 fake passport." Maya steps closer, her federal authority now fully revealed and devastating in its implications. "Mr. Walsh, we've reviewed your communications with 42 other airline employees across 7 carriers. Your Real Security Professionals group has been coordinating discriminatory practices for over 2 years. The revelation hits Derek like a physical blow. His private social media group, which he thought provided safe space for sharing security success stories, has been under federal surveillance. Every discriminatory comment and coordinated response documented as evidence of systematic conspiracy. Supervisor Linda Chen attempts damage control, her voice tight with corporate panic. "Officers, American Airlines doesn't condone any discriminatory behavior. If there were issues with Mr. Walsh's performance, we would have addressed them through proper channels." Agent Walsh produces a tablet displaying Linda's own emails. "Miss Chen, your communications show consistent dismissal of passenger complaints against Mr. Walsh, often using language that suggests bias confirmation rather than legitimate investigation." Linda's face pales as she realizes her supervisory protection of Derek has made her complicit in federal charges. Corporate liability extends beyond individual employees when management systematically enables discriminatory behavior. "This is impossible," Derek mutters as federal marshals position themselves beside him. "I prevent fraud. I protect passengers. I'm one of the good guys." Maya's response carries the weight of months of investigation and federal authority. "Mr. Walsh, good guys don't burn authentic passports while live streaming to social media. Good guys don't coordinate with other employees to target specific passenger demographics. Good guys don't send emails celebrating the humiliation of travelers." The handcuffs click with metallic finality as Derek's wrists are secured behind his back. Around them, passengers hold phones aloft, capturing the moment when systematic discrimination finally faces consequences. "You destroyed federal property in front of hundreds of witnesses," Maya continues, her voice steady but carrying righteous authority. "You committed a federal crime while wearing an airline uniform, representing systematic failures that endangered passenger safety and constitutional rights." Derek looks desperately around the terminal, seeking support from colleagues or sympathy from passengers. Instead, he finds dozens of phone cameras, disgusted expressions, and the cold professionalism of federal agents executing justice. "Ma'am," he stammers one final time, "if I had known who you were—" Maya's interruption is swift and devastating. "Mr. Walsh, that's exactly the problem. My identity shouldn't matter. Every passenger deserves the same dignity and respect you would show a federal inspector. The fact that you only regret your actions after learning my position proves our investigation's conclusions about your systematic bias." Federal Marshal Rodriguez reads Derek his rights while airport security clears a path through the terminal. The perp walk that follows becomes the defining image of accountability. A confident discriminator reduced to a federal prisoner, his airline badge now evidence in a criminal case rather than a symbol of authority. As Derek is led away, Agent Walsh addresses the crowd of passengers who witnessed both yesterday's crime and today's justice. "Ladies and gentlemen, this investigation represents federal commitment to ensuring equal treatment in aviation. Discrimination won't be tolerated, and employees who abuse their authority will face full legal consequences." The terminal erupts in applause, not celebration of Derek's downfall, but relief that systematic injustice finally faces meaningful consequences. Maya watches Derek disappear through security doors, knowing that his arrest represents just the beginning of federal reforms that will reshape airline industry practices nationwide. Linda Chen approaches Maya hesitantly, her corporate training warring with personal recognition of yesterday's injustice. "Inspector Rodriguez, American Airlines is committed to full cooperation with your investigation." Maya's response is professional but pointed. "Miss Chen, cooperation means more than damage control. It means systematic changes that ensure no other passenger experiences what I endured yesterday." The federal badge that Derek never saw yesterday now shines under terminal lights, representing not just personal vindication, but institutional accountability that will protect future travelers from similar discrimination. 3 hours later, American Airlines, corporate headquarters, emergency session. The conference room at American Airlines executive offices fills with tension thick enough to cut. CEO Patricia Morrison sits at the head of a mahogany table surrounded by legal counsel, risk management executives, and crisis communication specialists, all reviewing the catastrophic implications of Derek Walsh's federal arrest. Maya enters the room with Director Harrison and FBI Agent Walsh, their federal badges serving as stark reminders that this isn't a negotiation. It's a compliance conference where corporate cooperation determines whether American Airlines faces criminal charges as an organization. "Miss Morrison," Director Harrison begins without preamble, "your employee destroyed federal property while systematically discriminating against passengers. Our investigation reveals that your company's supervisory failures enabled this behavior for years." Patricia Morrison's voice is carefully controlled. "Director Harrison, we take these allegations extremely seriously. Derek Walsh's actions don't represent American Airlines' values or policies. Maya places a thick folder on the table. Miss Morrison, this contains documentation of 17 formal complaints against Derek Walsh over 2 years, all dismissed by your supervisors without proper investigation. Your company didn't just enable his behavior, you protected it. The legal team exchanges worried glances as Maya continues. We've also identified 12 other American Airlines employees participating in the discriminatory network that coordinated bias incidents across multiple airports. What exactly are you proposing? Morrison asks, though her tone suggests she already knows this conversation will reshape her company's operations entirely. Agent Walsh produces a federal compliance agreement. Complete reorganization of passenger services training, federal oversight of discrimination complaint processes, and financial penalties totaling $47 million. The number hits the room like a physical blow. American Airlines' stock price has already dropped 8% since Derek's arrest video went viral, and federal penalties of this magnitude will require board approval and shareholder notification. Furthermore, Director Harrison adds, American Airlines will implement AI-powered monitoring systems to detect discriminatory patterns in real time, with federal auditing access to ensure compliance. Maya watches corporate executives realize that Derek's $5 lighter has just cost their company nearly $50 million and permanent federal oversight. The power to burn a single passport has triggered systematic changes affecting every airport in their network. We'll need 30 days to implement these changes, Morrison says, her CEO authority now subordinate to federal requirements. You have 14 days, Maya responds firmly, and implementation begins immediately with mandatory sensitivity training for all customer-facing employees. Later that day, O'Hare Terminal 3, Gate B-15, Maya returns to the scene of yesterday's crime. But now the power dynamic has shifted completely. Where Derek Walsh once stood destroying federal property, temporary signs announce enhanced customer service training in progress, while airline employees undergo emergency bias education. Acting Gate Supervisor Marcus Johnson, hastily promoted after Linda Chen's administrative leave, approaches Maya with obvious nervousness. Inspector Rodriguez, we've implemented the immediate changes you requested. All gate agents are receiving federal discrimination awareness training. Maya observes the transformation with professional satisfaction. Yesterday's crime scene has become today's reform center, where employees learn constitutional requirements for equal treatment rather than methods for disguising discriminatory bias. Mr. Johnson, these changes need to become permanent culture, not temporary compliance. Every passenger interaction should reflect dignity and respect, regardless of the traveler's appearance or background. Absolutely, Inspector. We understand that customer service means serving all customers equally. Maya notices Aisha Williams approaching with her camera, still documenting the story that her live stream helped expose. The journalism student who witnessed yesterday's injustice now records today's accountability. Inspector Rodriguez, Aisha says respectfully, can you tell viewers what changes they can expect when traveling? Maya turns to address Aisha's camera directly, speaking to millions of viewers who followed this story from discrimination to justice. Travelers can expect constitutional protection of their rights. Airline employees will receive proper training on document authentication, bias recognition, and respectful customer service. Most importantly, discrimination complaints will trigger federal investigation rather than corporate dismissal. That evening, Federal Aviation Administration Headquarters. Maya sits in Director Harrison's office, reviewing implementation timelines for nationwide reforms triggered by Derek Walsh's spectacular crime. The burned passport on her desk, reconstructed from ashes as federal evidence, serves as a reminder that individual acts of discrimination can catalyze systematic change. Maya, your undercover work has exposed discrimination networks in 7 airlines across 23 airports. This represents the largest federal civil rights action in aviation history. Sir, Derek Walsh thought he was humiliating one passenger. Instead, he provided evidence that will protect millions of future travelers. Director Harrison reviews federal monitoring systems that will detect discriminatory patterns in real time. These AI systems will analyze passenger complaint data, employee behavior patterns, and demographic disparities to identify bias before it escalates to criminal behavior. Maya's phone buzzes with a news alert. American Airlines stock rebounds as investors praise federal compliance agreement. The market recognizes that systematic changes, though expensive, provide long-term protection against discrimination lawsuits and federal prosecution. The irony is perfect, Maya reflects. Derek's attempt to demonstrate authority by destroying federal property has resulted in federal authority permanently overseeing airline operations. Through Director Harrison's window, planes take off into the evening sky, carrying passengers who will benefit from reforms triggered by one gate agent's catastrophic decision to burn an inspector's passport. 2 weeks later, Northwestern University Journalism Department. Maya sits across from Aisha Williams in the campus coffee shop, steam rising from their mugs as the young journalist reviews her final article about the passport-burning investigation. Sunlight streams through tall windows, illuminating pages of notes that transformed a routine live stream into national civil rights coverage. Inspector Rodriguez, I still can't believe how this all started, Aisha says, her voice filled with admiration. When I started recording that day, I just thought I was documenting unfair treatment. I had no idea I was helping expose a nationwide discrimination network. Maya smiles warmly, remembering the courage it took for a college student to step forward as a witness against institutional bias. Aisha, your documentation provided crucial evidence for federal prosecution. Without your live stream and witness testimony, Derek Walsh might have faced only administrative discipline instead of federal charges. My journalism professor says this story demonstrates how social media can serve justice when traditional systems fail. Aisha scrolls through her phone, showing Maya the millions of shares and comments supporting discrimination accountability. People everywhere are sharing their own travel stories, documenting bias they previously endured in silence. Maya leans forward, her federal authority softened by genuine mentorship. That's exactly what we hoped would happen. Systematic change requires individual courage. Your willingness to speak truth to power inspired others to do the same. Same day, Thompson Industries corporate office. Chicago Marcus Thompson reviews airline industry reports in his corner office, but his mind keeps returning to the discrimination he witnessed at O'Hare. As a successful businessman, he's used to corporate power protecting privilege. Watching Maya reveal her federal authority changed his perspective on accountability. His assistant announces a visitor, Maya Rodriguez, arriving for a meeting Marcus requested after learning about her federal investigation. Inspector Rodriguez, thank you for coming. I wanted to discuss Thompson Industries' corporate travel policies in light of your discrimination findings. Maya settles into the leather chair across from Marcus's desk, appreciating his proactive approach to addressing bias in business travel. Mr. Thompson, most companies only react to discrimination after lawsuits. Your preventive approach demonstrates real leadership. What I witnessed that day made me realize how often I've probably seen similar bias without recognizing it or speaking up. Marcus pulls out a policy document. We're implementing mandatory bias training for all employees who book corporate travel, and we're establishing partnerships with airlines that demonstrate clear anti-discrimination policies. Maya reviews his proposed policies with professional approval. This creates market incentives for airlines to prioritize equal treatment. When corporate clients demand discrimination accountability, airlines respond with systematic changes. Marcus nods thoughtfully. I keep thinking about Derek Walsh's confidence when he destroyed your passport. He genuinely believed he was performing his job correctly, supported by institutional systems that protected his bias. That's exactly why individual accountability must be paired with systematic reforms, Maya explains. Derek's arrest sends a message to employees, but policy changes prevent future Derek Walshes from developing unchecked discriminatory authority. That evening, Maya's Chicago hotel room. Maya video calls her team at FAA headquarters, their faces filling her laptop screen as they review implementation progress across all major airports. The burned passport sits framed on her desk, not as a trophy, but as a reminder of the individual dignity that sparked systematic reform. Maya, Deputy Director Stevens reports, "We've documented 17 airlines implementing enhanced bias training in the past 2 weeks. Your undercover work has triggered voluntary compliance beyond our enforcement requirements. More importantly," Agent Walsh adds from FBI headquarters, "we've received over 300 discrimination reports from passengers who felt empowered to come forward after seeing Derek Walsh face federal prosecution." Maya feels deep satisfaction, knowing that her decision to endure public humiliation, instead of immediately revealing her identity, has protected countless future travelers. The network Derek participated in has been completely dismantled. 43 employees across 7 airlines now face various levels of federal accountability. Her phone buzzes with a text from Aisha. "Inspector Rodriguez, my article won the university's Investigative Journalism Award. Thank you for teaching me that documenting injustice is the first step toward justice." Maya responds warmly, "Aisha, you taught me that courage comes in many forms. Your willingness to record and testify demonstrated that ordinary people can create extraordinary change." As she closes her laptop, Maya reflects on the human connections forged through this investigation. Derek Walsh intended to isolate and humiliate her, but instead, his actions created a coalition of witnesses, reformers, and advocates committed to protecting passenger dignity. Maya approaches the same gate where Derek Walsh destroyed her passport, but the transformation is remarkable. Digital displays announce equal treatment for all passengers, while newly installed AI monitoring systems analyze interactions in real time for bias indicators. The burned passport that started this revolution now rests in the Smithsonian's Civil Rights Collection, representing how individual dignity can reshape institutional systems. Acting Supervisor Marcus Johnson, now permanent after completing federal bias training certification, greets Maya with professional respect. "Inspector Rodriguez, we're honored to have you inspect our reformed operations." Maya observes gate agents processing passengers with genuine courtesy, their interactions monitored by federal oversight systems that detect discriminatory patterns before they escalate. Where Derek once held court with discriminatory authority, employees now demonstrate constitutional commitment to equal treatment. "The changes are impressive, Mr. Johnson. More importantly, passenger complaint data shows 0 discrimination incidents since implementation of federal oversight protocols." At a nearby gate, Aisha Williams broadcasts live from her new position as aviation correspondent for a major news network. Her career launched by documenting injustice, she now covers industry-wide reforms triggered by one federal inspector's burned passport. This is Aisha Williams reporting from O'Hare, where systematic changes continue protecting passenger rights 6 months after the Derek Walsh incident sparked nationwide aviation reforms. Maya's phone displays thousands of messages from travelers sharing their own experiences with improved airline treatment. The hashtag Dignity in Travel hashtag trends regularly as passengers document positive changes in airports nationwide. Derek Walsh begins his 18-month federal sentence today, his case becoming precedent for prosecuting discrimination in transportation. His confident destruction of federal property serves as a warning to other employees that bias carries criminal consequences. Maya's federal badge catches the terminal lighting as she boards her flight to the next airport requiring civil rights assessment. The same credential Derek never saw during her humiliation now ensures no other passenger faces similar discrimination.